Cooking methods. We're talking about cooking methods today.
Hey, good looking.
There's a worksheet.
What you got cooking?
You can print it out
How's about cooking something up with me?
or just follow along online.
Hey, sweet baby, don't you think maybe
Let's get
we could
started.
find a
Chef, night, cook, steak. Chef, night, cook, steak. Chef, night, cook, chef, like a chef.
Our learning goals today, we're going to define and differentiate between moist and dry heat cooking methods, and we'll identify different cooking methods and the equipment used for various foods. Hey, why use different cooking methods in the first place? Here's a side of beef, and as you can see, there's tough and tender parts all over it. Those tough parts are typically muscles that support all the heavier, tender parts. Now, they are really tough to eat, so we need a long, slow cooking method to break down the enzymes and make that tough meat tender. And with that tender meat, we need a high heat cooking method so we don't dry it out, we don't overcook that meat, and we keep it all tender. So from this, we can derive that cooking methods are chosen by the types of food and their requirements and the desired results. We're breaking things down today into two groups. We're going to look at moist versus dry heat cooking methods. Before we get into those dry heat cooking methods, let's talk about the Maillard reaction. The Maillard reaction creates flavor and changes the color of the food. When heat is applied, all those enzymes and amino acids and sugar react, and they start to get kind of toasty, brown, and crunchy, and that creates a crust and more flavor on our food. You can see here two examples. A piece of steamed chicken that's been done with moist heat looks kind of anemic and bland, I guess you'd say. And the roasted chicken cooked with dry heat that has gone through the Maillard reaction looks like it has a lot of flavor. It certainly has nice color. The Maillard reaction.
This is the Searsol. The Searsol is an attachment that actually converts a regular blowtorch into more of a handheld broiler. Torch flames hitting the first screen really fast and spreading out, and then we actually have a second screen that spreads it out and evens out even more. I'm using the Searsol to sear this piece of meat, and you notice that this steak is very thin, which means I can actually cook it all the way through with the Searsol, which wouldn't be normal for a thicker steak. Anytime you have a protein, sugar, together and you apply heat under different conditions, you get these kind of brown, toasted, roasty flavors. This is what we call the Maillard reaction. Typically, when you're creating a Maillard reaction or creating a brown crust on something, you have to really dry out that surface to get the temperature to rise so that you can get those nice crusts. It can just get that surface to really crust up quickly, and you can get those Maillard flavors without overcooking the stuff underneath. Delicious.
All right. Some of the dry heat cooking methods that we'll be focusing on today are roasting, baking, grilling, broiling, frying, griddle, deep fry, and microwave. We'll start with roasting. Roasting occurs in a high heat. That's a high heat oven method, and it creates browning and crusting on the food. Now, because it's such a high heat, what we end up with is crusting and browning, but as you can see on this piece of beef, the center is not fully cooked. So we have a nice tender, juicy center and then a nice crusty outside. Same with this chicken over to the side here. It's got a really nice crispy skin and then it's tender and juicy inside. Vegetables as well. As we can see from our vegetables, that Maillard reaction has created some caramelization on these vegetables. Their natural sugars have started to brown and they have lots of flavor, and then they're going to be soft inside. Baking is done in an oven as well, but it's a low heat oven method, and it's done so that food will cook through evenly. We can see this loaf of bread here looks a lot like that roast I just showed you. Now, when we bake at a lower temperature, the bread cooks through evenly. If I put that loaf of bread, that dough, into an oven and roasted it, we'd have a burnt crust and a gooey center. Baked potatoes are a classic. And if you want to do something inexpensive and great at home, you can bake a potato and then cool it down and hollow it out, crack an egg in there, put some cheese or whatever toppings you like on it, and then bake that for about, 10 or 20 minutes. You'll have a great result.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about sauteing. This quick cooking method is perfect for this lean steak. Remember, hot pan, hot fat. In this case, oil and the proper size pan. This steak is seasoned with salt and pepper and dry rubbed with coffee. Yes, coffee, to add richness to the taste. Because you have very hot oil, you must keep safety in mind when laying the items into your pan. Always lay them away from you. As the meat browns, particles called fond stick to the pan. This fond will help to make us a delicious sauce. The fond is lifted by deglazing. With the other ingredients, the liquid is reduced to a beautiful sauce.
And that takes us to frying. And we have 3 different levels of frying. We're going to start with sauté, which the French word literally translates to jump. And that's what we're doing. We're making the food jump around in a very hot, high heat pan. It's a fast cooking method intended to sear or brown the outside of food without cooking it all the way through. A gentle fry, medium, even heat. This would be the perfect temperature to cook eggs at so we don't scorch them and so that they can cook fairly easily. Sweating, low heat, no browning. We've got onions in the pan there, and we'll typically sweat onions, and what we're looking for is a nice translucency. We want to do this to add a subtlety of flavor to a dish when we use those onions. If we allow them to brown, the flavor is going to really intensify, and that'll likely dominate a dish.
Grilling cooks foods with a radiant heat from below, as well as from contact with the rods of the grill. Grilling produces a smoky, slightly charred flavor resulting from the flaring of the juices and rendered fats. Grilling is great for the familiar strip steak and chicken breasts, but it is just at home for salmon and tuna steaks, pork, or these double-ribbed lamb chops served with caramelized garlic sauce. Preheat the grill to a temperature appropriate to the food you're cooking. Use different temperature zones to accommodate your menu selections and service style. Grills, like broilers, need to be continually maintained. Before and after cooking, scour the rods with a wire brush to remove buildup of burnt particles. Then rub the rods with oil to lubricate and season them. Trim or cut the food so they can cook evenly and quickly. The fat on this lamb chop might cause flare-ups. Brush them with oil to prepare them for grilling. The oil will help keep the chops from sticking.
All right, grilling. This can be done with high or low heat. The thing about grilling is it's done on rods or a screen with a heat source from below. So we have here in the bottom corner of our screen a steak, looks like a rib steak, nice cut, very tender. We're going to do that at a high heat so we can sear the outside and keep that inside medium rare. Above it though, we see some ribs, which are a tough cut of meat. And we need to do that at a low heat for a long time to break down the enzymes and make the meat tender. If we do it at too high a heat, all we're going to do is dry the meat out. There'll be nothing left of it. And we've got some onions over to the side as well that have been thrown on the grill, and their natural sugars have caramelized, producing a delicious result.
Die Grillsaison steht vor der Tür und das Team eines Lava-Projektes der Syracuse-Universität im US-Bundesstaat New York präsentierte jüngst eine recht originelle Art, um ein Steak so richtig zu brutzeln. In dem Video, das sich inzwischen online zum Hit entwickelt, läuft die Lava durch eine wärmebeständige Rinne. Die abgegebene Hitze bringt das Fleisch zum Glühen. Das Experiment wurde im vergangenen August auch von einem Geologen und einem Bildhauer begleitet. Von einem Koch war hingegen nicht die Rede. Und wahrscheinlich gefiele die Methode in ihrer Reinform wohl ohnehin nur Liebhabern einer Garstufe von well bis very, very well done.
Yes, that is very, very well done. Anyways, on to broiling. Broiling is a high heat cooking method, and it is done on grods or a grill, but the heat source is from above. And we can cook just about anything we can on a grill in a broiler, like steaks. But the broiler is also really good for finishing something like melting cheese on top of something or browning the surface. As you can see in that top image there, there's some kind of French onion soup with cheese on top, and then it's been broiled, so we get a nice browning crust as a result. The griddle, also known as the flat top, is a large heated surface, and it's a high or low heat, but it's intended for large volume cooking because it can handle the heat really well and there's a lot of space. So in a small frying pan, every time you add something to it, you cool the surface down. With a griddle, it's very difficult to cool that surface down. So in a commercial setting, say a diner or a truck stop with a very large breakfast rush and people that don't have time to wait, the griddle is an excellent piece of equipment. Deep frying. A lot of people confuse deep frying with a moist heat cooking method, but we recall from our health and safety training, if you were to add water to that deep fryer, you'd probably cause a big flash fire. So don't add water to the deep fryer. Anyways, deep frying's a really great way to cook food. Everybody loves deep fried food, except it's not that healthy. Typically, when it floats, it's done. We all know we're looking for a golden brown color. Pretty easy to deep fry. However, if you look over to the bottom corner, there's an example of tempura vegetables. That's a deep fried Japanese style vegetable, and its batter is very light and doesn't brown. Microwave. The first microwave from 1951 cost between $2,000 and $3,000. In today's dollars, that's $17,000 to $26,000. That's a lot of money for what looks like a radiation spewing monster. Anyways, how does a microwave work? Well, it uses short radio waves to agitate water molecules in food. There is something inside that microwave called a magnetron. The magnetron creates the short radio waves. Something called a stir kind of acts like a fan and redirects those short radio waves onto the food. When they start to hit the food, the water molecules are activated by causing a positive and negative charge to react against each other. When that happens, the water molecules inside the food start moving. And as those short radio waves come more and more, they start to move faster and faster. And the friction creates more and more friction, which creates heat. And they get hotter and hotter and hotter until the food is ready for you. Until the food's ready for you to eat. Enjoy. Yeah, just like that. Water molecules. Here's some more dry heat cooking methods. Smoking, using the smoke from wood to cure the food and cook it. Spit roasting, putting an animal on a large spike and turning it around and around so it cooks evenly. Dehydrating, uses warm air to extract the moisture from the foods and dry it out. Some might argue it's more of a preservation technique, but I'm calling it a cooking method today. The earth oven. Other than the open fire, this is arguably the longest used cooking method by mankind. We dig a hole in the ground and start a fire, cover it with stones. Then we cover those stones with some branches. We put the meat on top, put some kind of leaves or something on top of that and a layer of soil. We let that cook for a day or two. We dig it out and yum, yum, we got animal. Here's some more examples of earth ovens from around the world. We've got the Hawaiian emu and the Samoan umu and the Maori hagi and the Fijian lovo and the Mexican barbacoa and, of course, the New England clam bake. And here's the moist heat cooking. Thank you very much. Here's the moist heat cooking methods we'll be focusing on today. Braising, stewing, steaming, poaching, boiling, and simmering. Let's start with braising. Food is seared and cooked in very little liquid and covered. This is usually done with larger cuts of meat. It's a great way to cook in colder months on a winter's day. Warms up your house and makes it smell delicious. Hey, right here in the bottom corner, can anyone tell me what we're braising? I'll give you a moment to text in your answers. No one got it right. It's cockscombs. Yes, normally chewy. Now we're making them soft and delicious through braising. Stewing, a dish of meat and vegetables cooked slowly in liquid in a closed dish or pan. Stewing is very similar to braising. However, the meat is cut smaller and it's covered by liquid. All right, boiling and simmering. Boiling, high heat, rapid water movement. When we boil something, we want to make sure there's plenty of space in the pot so the food can move around in there. What we don't want to end up with is everything just kind of sitting in one spot and cooking unevenly. Simmering, low heat, gentle movement that does not boil. Typically something we've boiled will turn down to a simmer to give those flavors an opportunity to come together and combine. Poaching. Low heat involving very little liquid. When we poach, we can add vinegar to the water, and that helps make the proteins coagulate and keep intact. So when we're poaching that egg or poaching that salmon, it's adding some vinegar, some acid is a very good way to stop it from coming apart on you while it poaches. And we have here in the corner a classic French dessert, a poached pear. And it's done so gently that your spoon would just pass through that pear, that it's so soft, but it retains its shape because it's such a delicate cooking method.
Now, from the ancient Orient direct to your modern kitchen, you're about to discover a cooking revolution. It's the Orient Express Bamboo Steamer. This one utensil cooks meat, vegetables, desserts, even frozen foods faster, better than a dozen pots and pans. Incredible? Watch. On the right is a pot of boiling water. On the left, the Bamboo Steamer. We're placing fresh beans in both. 3 minutes later, and look, boiled vegetables are still tough, color fading, but the Bamboo Steamer beans, done to a tender turn, vitamins and color don't have a chance to boil away. These fish fillets are frozen hard as a rock. This package goes in a hot oven. This in the steamer. Minutes later, the oven fish are still cold as jello inside. The steamer fillets are flaky, tender, perfect. Seem like magic? It's all ancient common sense. You see, boiling waters down the taste. Steaming locks in taste. Boiling washes away vitamins. Steaming seals in vitamins. Boiling water is hot, but steam is even hotter and cooks faster. Oven-heated leftovers can be dry, stale, steam-heated, and they're moist, tasty. Don't throw away day-old bread and rolls. Steam them bakery fresh in seconds. Yes, you must agree the Orient Express Bamboo Steamer is the most useful, time-saving, flavor-sealing cooking tool you have ever used, or return it for a full refund. But keep as a free gift this beautiful set of good luck wind chimes. And keep as a free gift this genuine bamboo salad bowl. And as if that weren't enough, we'll also send this matching bamboo serving set. So think of it, for just $14.95, you get the Orient Express steamer plus the free wind chimes and the 3-piece salad set. Use your MasterCharge or Visa credit card. Call.
Wow, what a deal. Hey, you know, for $19.95, I'll throw in the slap chop, but you got to act now because I can't do this all day. Steaming! Water does not come in contact with food. It's just steam, and that makes it the most nutritious way to cook because the food retains all those nutrients. Here at the bottom of the screen in the left corner, we've got a steam table, like one we use in the classroom. That is not for cooking food. That's just for maintaining its food safe temperature. Next to it, though, there's a steam oven on the bottom row. That we steam food in, as we do the bamboo steamer that you just saw the ad about. Up above the bamboo steamer, that's a double steamer there. Most people have one in the back of their cupboard at home. It looks like a pot with holes in the bottom, and you just put it on top of a regular pot and steam. It's my favorite way to do vegetables. And next to it here, we've got a kettle, a steamer. And this is a really great tool for commercial industrial use. You can do large volume cooking. It works on the premise that the steam isn't actually touching or coming in contact with the food. It's in the wall around that pot. So there's this heat coming through that's very delicate. It's virtually impossible to burn anything and extremely useful. Here's some other examples of moist heat. En papillote is a French method of cooking using parchment paper, and it's typically done with fish. We'll put fish inside with a little fumée or fish stock, fold up the paper, put it in the oven. The steam is the method we're using. However, it's referred to as en papillote. Very similar to this is en vessie. This is where we take a chicken and stick it inside a pig's bladder, and then we steam that, and the chicken cooks inside the pig's bladder. And as you can see from this photo, it's served at the table and then cut open and it deflates like a balloon. Quite a sight to see. The tamale, Mexican masa harina, corn flour mixed with chicken and other spices and tomato sauce, and then that's wrapped in a corn husk and steamed. Pickling, also known as ceviche. This is a South American method using citrus juices. They change the complexity of the food, and interesting cooking method. Sous vide next to it uses a vacuum sealed bag in a very low temperature controlled water, and it cooks food perfectly all the way through. And the pressure cooker cooks food very quickly. It uses steam, but as that steam is collecting, it removes oxygen from the pressure cooker. So the pressure intensity of the steam rises and food cooks very quickly. Molecular gastronomy is the science behind the physical and chemical processes that occur while cooking. And molecular gastronomy as a cooking method has produced some really wild results. But as Chef Heston Blumenthal says, in the end, it's all just cooking.
Vsauce! Kevin here. Go to a restaurant, look at the menu, and then eat it. Molecular gastronomy is an innovative way of cooking that combines culinary arts with science. As food is prepared and combined in what's called a colloidal system, ingredients go through physical and chemical changes. Chefs utilizing molecular gastronomy use their artistic and technical abilities to influence the food's transformations. These techniques turn boring traditional cuisine into a modern sensory experience. By looking at food simply as states of matter in different types of colloidal systems, foam, solid foam, gel, emulsion, and solid emulsion, molecular gastronomists prepare unique dishes like this deconstructed baby corn, or this creative take on lemon chicken. And they bring unique tools into the kitchen such as hypodermic syringes for spherification, which involves liquid-filled beads that create gel equivalents of foods ranging from caviar to ravioli. The vacuum machine is used to suck out air from a bag in order to use a cooking technique called sous vide, which slowly cooks the food in heated water to retain moisture. Or another important tool that they use, liquid nitrogen. Robin Sue Fisher, founder of Smitten Ice Cream in San Francisco, wanted to make ice cream as fresh as possible that didn't require a bunch of chemicals to preserve, and her solution was liquid nitrogen. It's nitrogen at an extremely low temperature in a liquid state, first liquefied at Jagiellonian University in 1883 by Polish physicists Zygmunt Wróblewski and Karol Olszewski. By using liquid nitrogen, Fisher found that she could rapidly freeze ice cream, allowing her to make each serving fresh right when a customer orders. Chef Hamro Cantu at Moto Restaurant in Chicago makes edible menus. And this bread and butter menu was one of the first. Cantu's masticable menus include one printed on a salad roll, which after reading the menu, the customer just rolls it up and eats it. For printing, they use a modified inkjet printer with cartridges filled with food-based ink, like juiced carrots, tomatoes, and purple potatoes. One of Moto's most innovative courses is a play on fried chicken, in which noodles and biscuits are made with dehydrated, freeze-dried chicken ground into a powder. If you want to experiment with molecular gastronomy yourself, the YouTube channel Molecule R Flavors has tutorials anyone can follow with the right ingredients. Like this frozen chocolate wind that uses soy lecithin, which is a natural emulsifier that changes watery solutions into an air-like substance. Or these surprise bubbles that use calcium lactate and sodium alginate derived from brown algae to create spheres. You can also check out their website that offers kits with everything you need to try molecular gastronomy techniques at home. Enthusio Chefs is another great channel that features videos like this reverse spherified poached egg that uses xanthan gum, a mixture of 2 calcium salts called gluco, and egg white powder to recreate just the whites of a poached egg. They also make powdered ice cream inside candy strawberries, and milk where they use milk to make cheese and foam to create this. And while to some molecular gastronomy could be considered a novelty, it does combine science, technology, creativity, and sustenance in exciting ways. And really, I just kind of want to try strawberry spaghetti. What about cheeseburger spaghetti? Pizza spaghetti? And as always, thanks for watching.
All right, some molecular gastronomical terms we come in contact with. Spherification using sodium alginate and calcium chloride and a squeezy bottle creates these little pearls and caviars that can be used in a variety of applications. Emulsification, if you recall from our salad class, emulsification is a word that means combining 2 liquids that don't want to combine, like oil and vinegar. In this case, there's all kinds of liquids, and they use it to make foam and air in molecular gastronomy. Transformation uses transglutamase, also known as meat glue, to put together all kinds of culinary results. And sous vide, as we just discussed, sous vide is a slow cooking method to cook food all the way through perfectly. Jellification, hydrocolloids using agar-agar create this gelling effect that has all kinds of results.
When a diner comes to Moto, what we offer is a tasting menu experience. That all starts with a taste of your tasting menu. You actually eat the menu, and tonight it tastes like an Italian panini sandwich. And the reason why we do this is because we want to offer you a seamless experience anywhere from 2.5 to 5 hours long. So we're basically grabbing your attention the entire time and telling you, look, this is our vision in gastronomy, and we hope you like it. I would describe the cuisine as shocking yet tasty. And also working with NASA, you might want to call it intergalactic cuisine, but that might be a stretch. Here at Moto, all of the chefs are actually servers, and this is because you're going to have many questions on how things are prepared, If they're not patent pending technologies, then we will explain exactly how things are done. So they're very knowledgeable about the food because every dish requires an explanation. One of the things that you might experience here we call pancakes made tableside, where we take pancakes and puree them into a cooked pancake batter. We place that into a syringe and then inject that onto a frozen plate tableside. So the pancake batter, which is cooked, actually freezes into a cooked frozen pancake. We flip it over, place it on a spoon with maple syrup, and then you consume this. Another example is our printed food, where I can print up a picture of, say, cotton candy, and we actually have this on our menu, and it looks and tastes like cotton candy. You know, your brain is telling you, this can't possibly be food. I'm about to eat a photo of cotton candy. And then once you eat it, it's very intense. This laser is a class 4 laser, and what that means is that it's an infrared wavelength, which is why we're wearing the sunglasses. What we're going to use this laser for is a food and wine pairing. The food is going to be a vapor extracted from a freeze-dried orange powder. And the wine will go into the glass that the vapor is trapped in, and it's going to create a very rich, sort of caramel laserized orange quality in the wine. When I think of molecular anything, I'm thinking of subatomic particle analysis, nuclear magnetic resonance machines. The only place that I've ever seen that in the food world is our project with NASA, where we're working on a 3-dimensional food printer. I would say that this is more of just playful food. When we start seeing things go to Mars, then we're getting into molecular gastronomy and breaking down food to its subatomic state. Those are in no way, shape, or form anything like Dippin' Dots.
But better.
Let's show 'em. I need a job. Everybody do. Everybody do. That ain't nothing new. I need a job. Everybody do. Everybody do.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone.
Everybody do.
Until the next
Everybody
time.
do.